All right, guys. Happy 25th anniversary, WNBA. Shout out to all the new subscribers, man. We appreciate everybody that tuned in and came from the WNBA group on Facebook. Much love to everybody who watched. I think it's like at 40 views or 30 some views. We appreciate every watch. We appreciate every subscriber. And we just ask you to share the channel, keep supporting, and stay with us. We're definitely focusing heavy on the cards, focusing heavy on sports, and the biggest goal of all is to really push, to be a part of the push and the boom of the rise of the WNBA, and I see it becoming a major player in American and global sports in the near future. So I'm talking the next 10 to 15 years, you're going to see a lot more marketing, but it's going to take small steps like this, brick by brick, and everybody doing their part to help get the league in the proper position that it should be in. We got to still understand 25 years old is very young. So by the time we get to year 50, what we see today, 4/8/2021, with the NBA, we may begin to start to see in the WNBA, but I definitely do expect consistent growth. We have a lot more access to different resources like videos. The training camps aren't just a bunch of young male players, they're young female players, and they're putting in the same work. They just have a lot more access, and it's a lot more accepted. So it's not just, I mean, you got, your girls who would be considered in the 90s, the tomboy girls, but it's a lot of girly girls just playing too. So I just expect constant growth. Um, Let me see. One thing I will say, we have to get fantasy basketball for the WNBA because we see how big fantasy basketball has been for the NFL. Like it's players that I might not have been paying attention to, but they're on my fantasy team. So now I'm tuned in and I'm more invested in the sport. S- Pretty much with the NBA, I know everybody, but it might be a rookie that I might not have been tuned into, or somebody that came up from the D League. Maybe somebody on your team gets hurt and you had to put them in a roster. With the WNBA, it's going to be maybe 10 top names, but then a lot of your roster is going to be players that you never heard of, but because they're on your team, you're going to start getting familiar with them, or they might be on the other team and they knocked your team off, and you see like, dang, she putting up crazy numbers. So you looking forward the next season, you're going to be looking at that player, or you're going to start going and looking at the stats of this and just doing your scouting and research. So I seen that in the Facebook group. um I don't want to put it on the screen because it's a private group and I want to protect everybody's privacy. But somebody in the group was saying that we needed to reach out to somebody from ESPN, and I'll be showing that. I reached out. I think her name was like Sylvia. Hold on, let me pull her name up. Sylvia something, and just let her know that we need fantasy basketball for women, and that's my thing. Like same thing Draymond was saying. Everybody is so pro woman right now, but ESPN, you don't even have the stats of women in college. You don't have the stats of women in the WNBA. So that's another hindrance. I want to just be able to go click on ESPN where I see everybody else's stats. Why can't I go look at the women's stats? So, along with adding the stats, there needs to be a push. Anybody that you see in position or whoever is the heads of the fantasy division, this would be a step in that direction. And by adding fantasy basketball, they would have to add the stats. So there needs to not only be talk of supporting women's hoops and just putting women in position as far as commentating on ESPN, but we have to start really supporting the women is putting in the work, putting in the hours, and helping marketing that league so that they can they're not. I don't see ever being the same pay, but they can get into. We start seeing those $1 million contracts in the WNBA. They could definitely get to that point, but it's going to take much better marketing. So let's go over to, in honor of the 25th anniversary, they have New Jersey. So I'll be pulling that up. Let's share that on the screen. I think they cool. Some of them I seen was fire, but some of them are, they could have touched it up a little better. But some of them are fire. So right now, let's make it bigger so you can get a clear view. So we got the Atlanta jersey. We're gonna go by each jersey. Let you know what I think. The Atlanta jerseys they cool. I like the Atlanta jersey. The Chicago jersey, that one is fire. Connecticut jersey is bland, but it's cool. It's cool. This one is good. The Dallas jersey is cool. The Indiana, I like this one. I like this one. I would say the most of all of them. This one, the Chicago and the Indiana is fire. Las Vegas, I think they could have did better with that one. That's the least one I like right now. Los Angeles, I don't really like it. I think the purple is a little bit too dull for that one. Minnesota looks like the basic Minnesota. Kind of looks like the Timberwolves jerseys. New York, it's cool. I like it. It's plain black. I would have probably made this a bit more brighter on the edges to kind of make it pop a little bit more and made the outlining for the numbers a little bit brighter. Phoenix is fire, but for some reason, maybe I got to turn my brightness up or something on my because okay, I can see them a little bit better. But some reason it's just the purples and the oranges is a little bit too dull. I would have went for Connecticut. I like Connecticut more than I made my screen a little bit brighter. So I would have went more for the Connecticut orange because you want it to pop. You don't just want it to be dull. Seattle, it's the Seattle look, but I'm not really a fan of that Seattle green. I think this one is trash. These two I don't really like. This one is a little bit too basic, too Minnesota for me. They could have did better with that. And this one is all right. And the standout is Indiana and Atlanta. Not mad at Dallas or Connecticut either. Chicago. This whole little L section right here, these are goals. This, this, nah. And then these are just like, plain okay. You're not gonna complain about it. Let's go to the other side. All right, so I think these are the alternatives or home away. Atlanta, this one is fire. This is super fire right here. The Chicago one. I don't even know who this is, but it's decent. This one don't really like. It's different though. It's different. I don't really like it, but it's different. Indiana Fever. I like that for Indiana. I like kind of when we see with the NBA where teams go away from the traditional colors of the team because it might be other colors that highlight that area. So I like kind of the flipping where you don't always have to go with the Indiana yellow. It might be something else as far as a native plant, a native animal, something that you can connect to with that area that might be a different color. The Aces, it's just bland. I don't know who made these Aces jerseys, but it's like they put very little effort into those. Now this LA jersey is hard. Like that's what I mean. You want the jersey to pop. So it's not just the jersey, but people outside that might be into the hoop sportswear, they could throw it on with some ones or something like that. I like that a lot. This is it's it's better than the other one. This Minnesota is better than the other one. This New York one is hard. This Phoenix is hard. This Seattle is hard, and this is okay. This is okay. So New Jerseys, I see a lot of excitement in the WNBA about the New Jerseys. Let's see, they got a couple players trying them on. Equality, Liberty, New York. The band is kind of a little bit too scrunchy for me. I think they could have just left that regular, but I think they were trying to go for like that because it's the women's like the hair scrunchy thing. But they could have left that regular. Let's go back up to the top. See, is there anything else? Seattle. No, now this storm one looks better on them. I don't like that green at all. Let's see what else. Um, That's the Sparks opening theirs, kind of just all of the players opening the box. So evidently, it's three of them. They're getting a pack of three. I didn't know they actually got. I always thought with the jerseys that they got them before the game. So clearly they, unless they just give them one just to keep at the house. But I always thought they got the jerseys at the game. But they sent out a box to all of them. Yeah, see that they cool, man. I'm not gonna hate on it. It's some of them good, some of them not. But shit, they look good. Sometimes they can sell it just like that. So this is just a quick flip through again. Chicago hard. I'm just gonna let it run. Let y'all check it out. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Y'all feeling new to New Jerseys, or you want them to go back, or what's the top three jerseys that y'all see flipping through? First look. Teams will wear Nike design uniforms for the 25th anniversary. Players' number will return on the front. Each team will have three jersey editions: Explorer, Team Color, Rebel, Female Empowerment Storytelling, and Heroine, Home White. So that's pretty much a breakdown of what's going on. It's Fever one. I like this for Indiana a lot. So I just want to go down and see is there any more information that I'm missing about it. I think that pretty much covers the jersey. And I want to jump back over to the fantasy part. So if you are also a supporter of women having a fantasy basketball for the WNBA, again in the WNBA Facebook group, this is who the woman who proposed it. Shout out to her. Again, it's a private group, so I want to protect everybody's privacy. Show respect for that. But Sarah Spain is who we was told to reach out to. So if you also have support for the women having fantasy basketball, be sure to reach out to Sarah Spain. And this is just a brief what I said. Let's go to the thread. What would you like to see? I'll pass along. So, hey, who thinks there should be more WNBA fantasy options? If so, like this tweet. Trying to gather some data before I could potentially reach out to a couple fantasy providers. And another guy said, I'd be shocked if ESPN said no, there will tagging some people there with pool. They have been saying no for years. Yeah, I am aiming for some places that haven't consistently said no to adding the WNBA. Then Adam Miller guy says, but with everything that's going on, don't you think they changed their mind? Sarah Spain said, what would you like to see? I'll pass along. Then I said, this is when I came in and I became aware of the conversation. We need at a WNBA fantasy ESPN doesn't post women's stats or have a fantasy which has aided in the growth and interest in other leagues. I hear a lot of pro woman talk on the network. This would be a big step in the equality direction. Again, the more marketing you have, the more awareness the young fans have, the more awareness the old fans have, and the more aware people are, the more likely they would be to tune in. So that's pretty much my stance on it. Let's not just talk the talk. Let's start taking the steps that we need in the right direction to get them some equality in pay. And equality for me would be just getting majority of the top players into the millions and putting them in position where they don't have to play in the off season overseas if they want to, just to stay in shape. Just as is something that they've been doing, they can. But if they don't want to, the money that they're getting from their main contract is sufficient and enough to sustain them without having to go play again in the off season. So that's my goal for everything. And let's keep reading the thread to echo everyone else. Yes, fantasy WNBA league that has similar functionality to the NBA. My interest in football outside the Bears is who I have on my fantasy team. I think that a fantasy WNBA league would introduce more people to more players. I agree. And he said, and thank you, Sarah. I know a bunch of people who would play in the league. And someone else said, thank you for this, Sarah. It's been really incredible to see ESPN continue to expand coverage and promote women's sports. You're always doing incredible work for to further that. Future fantasy sports are a great way to get more eyes on the WNBA and expand a whole new fan base. I agree. I think the main thing people would love to see from ESPN is season long WNBA fantasy that uses the same structure, season long NBA fantasy that cites hosts. Precisely, it's not just the interest of the current WNBA fans either. Easily accessible WNBA fantasy basketball will be great for the league. I love to see a WNBA fantasy league. It's long overdue. Thanks. We would love a WNBA fantasy league. So, if you agree, a quick way to find this thread is either you can go to Sarah Spain's Twitter or you can go to my Twitter, the Car Guys USA, and click tweets and replies. Scroll down a little bit, and you'll see that conversation, and then you can add your input and just let Sarah Spain know what would you like to see. If you want to see the fantasy league, it might be something else that you want to see to help push the WNBA in the right direction and put them in front of more eyes. Happy 25th anniversary to the WNBA. I'm in favor of that. I'm also in favor of lowering the rim. That'll bring a lot more excitement in too, because the rim was made that high because there was so many big players in the NBA. You shouldn't have the same standards when you don't have the same size players in the WNBA. So that's something I think that will also push the league forward. But shout out to everybody that's tuning in, showing support. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and tell a friend. We appreciate it. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. The Card Guys, we're out.